So a couple days ago, Doc Rivers was fired from the Clippers, and now, just yesterday, we're finding out that he got hired with the Philadelphia 76ers. So let's see, were the Clippers right in firing Doc Rivers or not? I'm gonna give you both sides of the coin, and I'm gonna let you guys decide for yourselves whether or not you think the Clippers should have let Doc Rivers go. Now, if there's any Philadelphia fans watching this, how do you guys feel about having Doc Rivers as your coach? Let me know down below in the comment section. Alright, so with that being said, let's start off with the reasons as to why Doc did not deserve to get fired. In Game 7 versus the Nuggets, Paul George shot 1 for 7 from 3 in the second half and ended the second half with only 3 points. Is it Doc Rivers' fault that Paul George, a $30-something million per year player, only put up 3 points in the second half? What fault does Doc Rivers have in the fact that Paul George could not buy a bucket to save his life? And Paul George finished the game with 10 points, 5 turnovers, and only 4 of 16 from the field. So in other words, Paul George had more turnovers than made field goals. Is it Doc Rivers' fault that Paul George had more turnovers than made baskets? What can the coach possibly do when there is a guy on the court who is getting paid more than $30 million per year and that dude is playing like absolute garbage? What can Doc Rivers do in something like that? Please, someone tell me. And in the same game, second half of Game 7, Kawhi Leonard shot 1 for 11 from the field in the second half. Once again, what can Doc Rivers possibly do about two superstar players who cannot score the ball? Kawhi Leonard, 1 for 11 from the field in the second half, 0 points in the fourth quarter, 2 points in the second half, and only 14 points for the game. Once again, how is that Doc Rivers' fault? If Anthony Davis and LeBron James choked up a game, would we all be pointing fingers at Frank Vogel and saying that it is his bad coaching? Or would we be looking at the stats, and if we saw LeBron James had 0 points in the fourth quarter of a Game 7, I'm pretty sure we would all be blaming him and not the coach. So that's just some food for thought, but now let's go ahead and talk about why he does deserve to get fired. Doc Rivers has blown 3-1 leads in the NBA playoffs. No other head coach in NBA playoff history has blown that many 3-1 leads. And the funny thing is, when the Clippers and the Nuggets series was still going on, I believe it was after Game 5 or Game 6, I made a video saying that I think it's over for the Clippers, and I gave a reason why. And the reason was, I noticed that whenever a team figures out what the Clippers are doing, they make adjustments to come back on the Clippers. However, when that team makes adjustments, Doc Rivers does a terrible job of adjusting his team in order to make sure they don't blow that lead. And looking back at that video in hindsight, I look like an absolute genius because I was right about all of that. And if I were Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, I do not want a head coach that other teams are always going to make a comeback on. And in fact, it goes further than just the Denver Nuggets. When we look at Game 4 versus the Mavericks this year, the Clippers were up, I believe, 20-something points at one point in the game. The Mavericks ended up coming back, and that's the game where Luka hit that crazy step-back game winner. So when I saw them choke up that lead, I already kind of started thinking that Doc Rivers did not know how to keep his team ahead. But after seeing them choke the series to the Denver Nuggets, that pretty much confirmed my entire theory. Another reason as to why I think Doc Rivers deserved to get fired. He's been LA's head coach for the past 7 years, and in those 7 years, he's had Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Will, Montrezl Harrell, and I could go on. And in those 7 years, not only have they not won a championship, they haven't won the Western Conference, and not only have they never won the Western Conference, they've never even made it to the Western Conference Finals. I'd be willing to bet my entire YouTube paycheck right now that no other NBA coach would get such a pass for not making the Western Conference Finals in 7 years with all of those players he's had. Could you imagine if Greg Popovich had all those players and not once made the conference finals? No one would be giving Greg Popovich a pass. And yes, just for the record, I do know that Doc Rivers has a ring with the Boston Celtics. And I'm not gonna discredit a championship. A championship is a championship no matter how you got it. But I will say, he won that ring with a super stacked Boston Celtics team before having super teams was even a thing in the NBA. This was all the way back in 2008. And people say super teams started a couple years later when LeBron went to Miami to try to beat that Celtics team. And keep in mind, before Doc Rivers won that championship, he was on the verge of getting fired as the Celtics head coach before Kevin Garnett even got there. So how much weight does a championship with a stacked team really hold? I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that. Now, I know that at the beginning of the video, I said I was gonna lay out both sides and let you guys decide for yourselves, but after saying everything out loud, I am 99% sure Steve Ballmer made the right choice. If I were the owner of the Clippers, he is definitely getting fired as well. And it's not all necessarily because of what happened this year in the postseason, but it's pretty much the combination of all these events. The fact that he's had all these players yet accomplished so little. And what happened in the playoffs this year, it's pretty much the icing on top. And if I were the Clippers owner, I probably would have fired him as well. But that's just my opinion. You guys can make your own opinion down below. Anyway, if you watched this video all the way through, please make sure to give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. You guys know that is all I asked for. And if you like hearing unbiased NBA news, just hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I am out of here. If you're still here, consider watching this other video I picked out for you down below. Please just watch it. I'm trying to get to 300 subs, so go watch that video. Let me know what y'all think. And hit the like button on that video too. All right, see you guys.